Are the New Orleans Pelicans willing to trade Zion Williamson? We're going to break down that report from Chris Haynes later on in today's show. Then we're going to talk about Christian Wood, the free agent that it sounds like doesn't have much of a market for him right now in NBA free agency. We're going to talk about the idea of the Knicks signing him to the veteran minimum. But before we dive into today's video, make sure you guys are subscribed to New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. We put out videos, sometimes multiple videos on the latest Knicks news and rumors. We go live every single Tuesday. We were live for 70 NBA games this year. So if you love the Knicks and are looking for a one-stop shop for Knicks content all year long, hit that sub button right now. Alrighty, let's get into it. Is Zion Williamson on the trade block? NBA insider Chris Haynes went on the broadcast during NBA Summer League and pretty much said that the Pelicans are open to the idea of moving on from the former number one overall pick. This is what he said on the broadcast, quote, "Over the last 3 or 4 months, talking to league executives around the league, it was made clear that Zion could be made available for the right situation and the right package. Not saying he was clearly available, but Zion can be had." And I'm going to continue to keep my eyes on Zion Williamson from a New York Knicks perspective. The Knicks have been linked to Williamson time and time again, dating all the way back to the NBA draft lottery when the Pelicans won that pick. And there was rumors coming out that Zion had to be escorted out of pretty much the green room. Not the green room, but that's what it kind of is, because he wanted to be a member of the New York Knicks. His best friend, his Duke buddy, R.J. Barrett, is a member of the New York Knicks. He wanted to be a Knick. He was unable to. And I know the Knicks are keeping their eyes on him for a multitude of reasons. Number one, he's a star player. And right now, I would consider Zion Williamson a disgruntled star who is available. And we know the Knicks have stockpiled all these draft picks to go trade for a disgruntled star. I would say his stock is down at the moment. Didn't play all that much last year. He's missed a lot of time. Had some controversy off the court this summer. If you know, you know. Shout out to Mariah Mills. But most importantly, he's a CAA client, which means he is pretty much repped by the New York Knicks. There is 100% a risk involved, though, with Zion Williamson. You're dealing with a player that hasn't played all that much basketball in the past couple years. There was a quote today that he didn't from Rick Bucher, who, if you want to call him credible or not, you can, whatever you feel, that he was not really in the camp of wanting to improve his game all that much. That he didn't want to add a floater, that he didn't want to do this. He just wanted to play like Zion Williamson. But the main risk is, look at this. In 2019, he missed 48 games. The next year, which was his best year in the league and was pretty much an MVP candidate, only missed 11 games. Then he missed an entire season this past year with a hamstring injury. A hamstring injury. The guy missed 53 games, a total of 194 missed games in his career. Also, another big risk is how much money he has guaranteed over the lifespan of his current contract, which runs through the 2027 and 2028 season. This is a lot of money. I mean, if he was available, I would consider this an underpay for Zion Williamson. But the thing is, he doesn't play all that much, or at least he hasn't yet up to this point. And could you potentially be paying a guy $42, almost $90 million through 2026 and 2028 if he is not available? But I say all that to say he is a special talent, no doubt about it. And all the players that the Knicks have been really linked to over the past couple of weeks and months so far all have something, I don't want to say wrong with them, but something that stands out as a negative. That's because there are no perfect players out there, especially ones that are on the trade market. But if you are going to push your chips into the table, into the middle of the table and go all in, the type of talent you want to do that for is Zion Williamson, who's young, has not reached his prime, and continues to show that if he is on the court, he could be one of the best players in the NBA. So if you are willing to mortgage the future, it needs to be someone that has a ceiling like Zion Williamson. But we know, as we talked about, there are a lot of risks. But if the Knicks want to go all in, they can. You know the draft picks they have. 4 in the first round of 2024. 2 first-round picks over the next 2 years. He has 8 tradable first-round picks. There's also 10 first-rounders in the next 7 years. When you talk about the 2024 draft, and specifically, the Knicks, they have their own pick, and then 3 protected picks that belong to the Mavericks, Pistons, and Wizards, and these are the following protections on those picks. When you look at what Zion has done in his NBA career, he's missed a lot of time We know that. But I want to focus in on that 2020 and 2021 season when he was one of the best players in the NBA and only missed 11 games. The Pelicans just played in 72 games that year, and he gave you 27 points per game, north of 7 rebounds, almost 4 assists, and 61% from the field. Those are all offensive stats. That does not include how special of a defender that Zion Williamson is. He can guard 1 through 5. He is a mismatch nightmare. He can protect the rim. He can get out in the fast break. He is special. There's a reason he was the number 1 pick coming out of Duke in a loaded class. There's no doubt he's special, but there's also no doubt that there's a lot of risk involved if you are going to trade for Zion Williamson. I'll ask you the question, though. Put on your general manager hat. Should the Knicks make a trade for Zion Williamson? I want you to type T for trade, P for pass. I'm curious what all the real ones think out there. Speaking of real ones, get your shirt today. A Chat Sports New York Knicks Now Real Ones t-shirt. We have our black t-shirt, which is newer, and we've got the OG t-shirt, which is blue. OG blue. Shout out to the Knicks. Go to chatsports.com/realknicks, and if you use the promo code SummerVibes20, you're going to get 20% off. So head to chatsports.com/realknicks. Get a blue or a black Real One t-shirt. But remember, if you want to save some cheddar, use the promo code SummerVibes20. All right, to round out today's show, let's talk about Christian Wood, the offensive, talented big man who last played with the Dallas Mavericks. Marc Stein, who's one of the most credible reporters in the game, said that Wood has only generated interest at the league minimum at this point in NBA free agency. The Knicks, they can only at this point sign players to the veteran minimum deal, and the Knicks need a backup power forward. Christian Wood, he plays power forward. Could the Knicks or should the Knicks sign Wood to a veteran minimum deal? We have heard the Los Angeles Lakers are a team that is interested in Wood. Why would a guy that averaged 17 points and almost 10 rebounds last year be going for a veteran minimum deal in NBA free agency? Let's break it down. Well, one, Christian Wood has played for 7 teams in 7 seasons, has not been able to stick with any team, has never been a part of a winner, and a young team that could have used a front court scorer like the Houston Rockets moved on from him after 2 successful years, and it does not sound like the Dallas Mavericks want him back even for the veteran minimum. Also, he doesn't care much for defense at this point in his career. He averages about a block per game, but he's not a willing defender, and he's not someone that I would think would fit really well with Tom Thibodeau. Defense does not seem like something that he wants to partake in on a nightly basis. Also, according to our Dallas Mavericks insiders here at Chat Sports, he was a problem in the locker room. He didn't get along with his teammates that well, and on top of that, he's not the most coachable player. So if you're a guy that hasn't been able to stick with the team for very long, you don't care much for defense, you're a problem in the locker room, and you're not the most coachable player, it doesn't really matter how good you are, especially if you're not a needle mover, which I wouldn't call Christian Wood a needle mover. It doesn't matter if you can't do all the things that are required to at least be a good teammate that contributes to winning. There's no doubt that he can fill the stat sheet. I mean, in 2020, the guy had 21 points per game, 9.6 rebounds, and he was super efficient, but he was on a bad basketball team in the Houston Rockets. And the following year, 18 and 10 on really good efficiency again. And then if you didn't watch any Dallas Mavericks games this year, you're probably looking at Christian Wood's stat line like 17 points, 7 rebounds, 51%, 37% from 3. The dude's an absolute stud. And he is a really talented offensive player. He could put it on the deck. He could shoot it from 3. He's got a little back to the basket face-up game in the mid-range area. He's an athletic guy, can catch lobs, can attack the basket. But at the end of the day, there is a reason that not many teams want to pay him much more than the veteran minimum. But for the New York Knicks, does it make sense? Well, they do need a backup power forward following the Obi Toppin trade. I mean, you look at the starting lineup, I think the Knicks are locked in right there unless another move is coming down the pipeline, but they probably do want to get a stronger backup power forward presence than Isaiah Roby, who so far in the NBA Summer League has played in 2 games for the New York Knicks. He's given you 9.5 points per game in those 2 games, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, and he's been somewhat efficient. He was definitely better in Game 2 than Game 1, but he was held scoreless in the second half of Game 2. There was a report that came out that the New York Knicks were comfortable with Roby being their backup power forward, and while I don't want to harp too much on the backup power forward spot, I would like to see more of a veteran in that role. Maybe that's Taj Gibson, and you kind of split those minutes between Gibson and Roby and Josh Hart. We've even heard some talk about R.J. Barrett being that backup power forward. But if it is Isaiah Roby, and Julius Randle goes down due to injury, the Knicks could be in a little bit of trouble. So should they sign Christian Wood? It sounds like it's only going to cost the veteran a minimum. Maybe someone antes up a little bit more than that just to go ahead and sign him, as I'm sure there's a bunch of teams that are going to be trying to sign him for the veteran minimum. But should they do it? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us here on Knicks Now by Chat Sports. If you want to talk more Knicks hoops, I am down over on Twitter. Send me a DM at @MarshallGreen_.